Hi, everybody. It's Mike from the BUHS Tech Committee with another installment of Technology in Education Zoom seminar for you. Unfortunately, I forgot to hit record on the Zoom seminar, and so here I am, like the pioneer people, having to record it for you at a later date. And so while you will not be wowed by the repartee of all of your colleagues, I will make the extremely useful chat available to you at the end of this, or attached to this, or something. Anyway, here to teach you a little bit about advanced Google Classroom techniques, and so I'm going to dive right into it. And the first thing I thought I would talk about is the stream, because that's what you come to. And I'll tell you right now that what's going to happen is I'm going to go back and forth between this presentation, which I put together just to sort of keep my thoughts in order, and my actual Google Classroom page, and one that I've made up from a few willing educators who are willing to be in my fake Google Classroom. But anyway, so I'm going to actually talk about the stream here, and as the presentation says, it's really good for things that you want to just bring up. Obviously, announcements. If it's somebody's birthday, it's always nice to remember people's birthdays as you see them in Power School. That's still a thing that you talk about with your kids. But new things that you forgot about, things that need to be brought to immediate attention are on the stream. And also, if you have an issue that comes up in the class, like, you forgot something, or you misspoke something, or students have been confused all about the same thing and they've contacted you, you want to get out ahead of it, put it on the stream, because that's like, hey, everybody. So it isn't the most academic part of Classroom, but it is the front page, and it's designed to do that. So let me actually go now to the stream. So I've already talked a little bit about the function of the stream. The main thing to think about with the stream is the top. It's just like your Google search page. When you land on it, how many deep do you go? I always tell my students to look at the top 4 or 5 things, just hoping that they'll just go there and look at anything. But the farther down your page you go here, the things that you put, like a unit that you put somewhere, or an announcement, like here I changed the Zoom schedule, but look how far down it is. So really always be aware of where things are on your Classroom stream, because it is important. If it's going to be a place that people come to first, and that's what I always tell my students, is just like, let's all meet there. Like, let's all meet at the food court. If we get lost, let's all meet at the chat line of the Google Classroom stream. And so you can move things to the top. I guess that's the first thing about stream management. Notice how I always keep my Zoom links up at the top, so that as soon as they go on, if they want to request an ACE Zoom, or if they want to go to today's Zoom, and if it's gone down too far, you can just move it up to the top. Another thing that's really important on the Google Stream is the to-do list and the calendar. Let me go to my own Classroom, and I'll show you what I mean. If we look here on my Google Classroom stream, you'll see that the calendar is here, and that's actually pretty important, and it only shows up if you put due dates on your assignments. And so if you, just to remind you what I'm talking about, if I go to create an assignment here, and I'm not going to give it a name or anything right now. I'm just going to go to the due date part to just show you that you can put a specific due date there. And, some people say, well, I don't want to pressure my students and so forth, and so I don't put a due date on that. But honestly, if you do put some sort of due date on, then when students go to their stream, the things that are due will come up. And also, the other thing is that there is a to-do list on Classroom, And that comes if you click right here. You'll see the to-do list, and this can give you a nice way of organizing your own work process, because what comes up here is things that are pending and things that are ungraded. And so it will give you a nice list of things that you can work directly from, which is better than clicking around to all the assignments. Here is everything right here for you that can be useful. And also for your students, it is useful to use the to-do list. I would recommend that you tell them that, because again, it shows them a nice workspace for them to be within and to get themselves organized. For me, one of the other important and fun things that you can take care of with your calendar is your header. Your header is something that you can customize to your heart's desire, and maybe find a way to provide a little bit of important information up there right at the top. What you're looking at right now is something that was provided by a woman named Michelle F.A., who runs a group called Pocketful of Primary, and she's based in YouTube and Teachers Pay Teachers and a lot of other places that are easy to access. And she's created this thing on a Google Slides template that is completely customizable. She's added her own picture, but when you click on it, this picture can be replaced with your own picture, and you can do all sorts of great stuff with it. And the idea is that you can use anything you want on it, and it makes just one more bit of space that you can use to draw your students' attention to what you want to. And it is available at the website that you see here, which will also be provided for you at the end. So another thing that I will say that you can use the Google Stream for is that you really just want to use it as a place to ask questions, and you can use Google Forms to solicit feedback. I did this at the very beginning, just putting out a form that I attached to my stream that asked students what their technology situation was, what extra support I could offer them, and I got a great response from 90% of my class right away. And also just fun things, encouragement, little videos, things that you think that they'll find amusing, you can put up there. So, okay, I want to move on to the next thing, which is topics. When you want to find a way to organize your Google Classroom, there is no better place to start than using topics. Topics allow you to organize your work in such a way that it's distinguishable from 1 week, 1 unit to the next, what you have, and that way it's just like the Google Stream. If you don't create topics, your classwork is just one big long list of stuff. And so this way, during week 4, my students know exactly what they're supposed to do, and I've grouped the reading resources, the actual the week's agenda, as well as the 2 different things that contain the assignments that they're supposed to do and the resources that they're supposed to have. So it lets you package everything up a lot more neatly. And looking at topics, you can see on the left-hand side of my classwork page, it has all of the topics. And so if there was a particular one that I wanted to see the assignments for, then I would be able to do that and focus particularly on a group of things that I think is important on that given day that I want to look at, and it takes out all the distractions. Just to give you a quick look at how I do it, I have left one of my week 4 topics out here outside of the topic list, and just at the top, this is where things go that don't have a topic. And let me go into edit to show you how this works. When you edit, you basically get the same screen that you had at the beginning when you created the topic, and notice here's the due date, and right under that is the topic. And it says no topic, which is your top choice, but if you would like to create a topic, you can, and call it whatever you like. I already have one, and so I'm just going to say that this topic will go in with food, energy, and fuel, and when I click save, I find that there it is, easily done. Now, Another thing that you can do, I have a couple of other ones up here that are grayed out because they're not completed, but I can show you that another way to put something in a topic is just to drag it there. You know, these things here are grabbable, and so if I want this assignment in my week 4 stuff, then I can just grab it and put it there. Another thing worth pointing out about topics is that within a topic, just like things outside were grabbable, things inside are grabbable. And so if I want to take the agenda and put it at the top of the week, then that's where I can put it. Or, you know, if I decide that the reading resources should go at the end so that they're not a distraction, you can do that in whichever way that you want. One other thing I want to point out about topics is that they don't have to all be academic units. They can be, you know, things that you want to be always accessible. Certain class forms, or if you want to have a topic that's just weekly agendas, then you can have that. Or, you know, whatever it is that you think is important. Like if you have, you know, a toolbox of things that are frequently used in every topic, then maybe you want to have that always available. One thing that I always have in its own topic is my Zoom material, and so here's the link to my ACE meeting request form, and here is the link to our daily Zooms, and so that's always available in a topic that students can access if they want to. So on to another relatively simple trick. I just want to show you how to arrow through your students for convenience in grading. Let me go to my Google Classroom page and show you what I'm talking about. Here I have a kid's assignment which was turned in on Classroom, and so I'm grading it and I finish with the grade. And normally what I had always done is, okay, that's done. Now I have to go back to this original tab and pick another student's work. And then I grade that, and then I pick another student's work and I grade that, and that's a lot of back and forth with your mouse and a little bit of a pain. So I want to show you a better way to do that, and that is just on this original kid. Once you've done with their grade, you'll see up here there's back and forth arrows, and so rather than open 1,000 tabs and go back and forth between them, you just click this, and now you have the next turned in assignment here, and so you can go through that and you can grade that, and once you're done with that, you go to this kid and you go to this kid, and you can go through all the kids without having to open 1,000 tabs up here and close out a million different things. And again, back and forth with your mouse. Every time you do that, we're getting the carpal tunnel here, people, doing too much of this work on Classroom, so just another way to streamline it a little bit. Another thing that I want to show you that's important on Classroom for grading is the use of originality reports. This is something that Google provides, a limited number of these actually. When you engage originality reports on an assignment, it will check against the internet and the sort of usual suspects, databases, and services of academic papers and writing to see if there has been plagiarism. Let me show you how this works. I have created my own sort of faux classroom here with some people in it who were kind enough to provide their information and become students in my class. I am going to create an assignment for them, and one of the things that I'm going to do, aside from all the other things, is I'm going to click on originality reports, and it tells you you only get 3 of these per class. After that, they want you to pay for them. That being as it may, this can be a very powerful tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another assignment that was done by a student last semester, and I had some questions because the student had made this thing far too fast and the writing seemed far too good in some cases, and so I engaged originality reports, and it told me there were, when it said check originality, it came up with 4 flagged passages, and when I clicked on that, it gave me a way to sort of look at all of them, and it shows, you know, the things that were flagged, and it had a way for me to see, where all of the flagged passages were. It's very powerful and very accurate, and it gives you not just exact matches like one might be able to find by, doing what I do, putting quotes around something and putting it in Google. This actually will give you close calls and a lot of the stuff that it takes some good computing power to catch. Another really important tool that I've come to depend on in Google Classroom is the comment bank. This is an incredibly powerful tool for saving you time if you're somebody that writes a lot of comments in Google Docs and finds yourself repeating yourself a lot to the cost of ear carpals, and this is a way to get around that. Let me go to my classroom again, to a lab write-up that I have every year, and every year students make the same mistake like this one did, where we're talking about something that a termite did, and they write in their very first sentence that they have to write on their own, blah, 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 and the termite followed it. And I have a pet peeve about people using the word the about something that they haven't introduced yet. It is not good writing. They are lazily relying on my shared experience with them to fill in the blanks of their deficient writing. And so I always will make a comment like this, and let me show you. Right here is the comment bank, and when you click on it, you can save all of the different comments that you've made over time, and there they are, and you can recall them with a little bit of smart coding. If I type in the word termite, for example, if I start that in, here are two comments that I've saved. You can't say the termite or the anything if you haven't talked about it yet, and then there's a more detailed one here. But all I have to do is highlight this, and I can just pop it right into a comment without worrying about retyping it, and especially when you get into something that's this detailed. It's just good writing advice that I like to give, and it's much easier to give if all I have to do is cut and paste it into the document. And the way that you use this is really very simply. Once you've made a comment, then what you'll want to do is just click on the three ellipses in your comment, and you can add that to the comment bank, and there it comes up like that, and you would just add it, and it would become available there, and you can actually find it. Let's just check and say, there it is. So sometimes it's a little hit and miss whether you get them. What I'm actually heading towards is a system where I give all of my comments a tag that makes them specific to an assignment, and that way when I type in the name of the assignment, the comments that will pop up will be the ones that are related to that assignment. Now, that's still a work in progress, but don't let it stop you from getting started with this very powerful technique. From comments on Google Docs to comments in Google Classroom, when you grade a student's assignment in Google Classroom and you're in that space where you would put in the grade and click return in the upper right to send it back to them, in the lower right there's a place to add a private comment. And I started using those to say things like, hey, this is an important assignment. What can I do to, help you get this done? And, what I found out was they reply to them, they really work. And so I don't know why, but students really pay attention to this. And whether you send them to them or they send them to you, because they can also type into the same dialogue, and I get a notification in my email that says, such and such student shared a private comment, and I always read those. And then there I am in that assignment in the dialogue box. And so the thing that's great about it is that I am in the assignment already. So I'm in the middle of grading it. Tisk tisk, Johnny didn't do the assignment, and there I am in a place where I can make a comment about it that's going to notify them by email without having to get on my email, without having to write down their name and figure out something that I'm going to have to do later with a list of kids. I can do it one at a time as I'm grading this stuff. More clicks subtracted from your daily allotment of clicks, and that is always a goal. So back to the comment bank. I also, while I'm doing this, I'll keep in my clipboard, just what I said. This is an important assignment. This counts as an assessment. What can I do to support you in getting this done? And that almost always gets a response from kids, much more than anything else. Like you send out an email to everybody or to parents or whatever, and this works really well. The other thing is when they click on the notification, there they are in the assignment. And it's easy for them to just click on the assignment, their copy of the assignment, and get to work right on it now that they've been reminded it's important. The level of detail that you're able to get into with students is kind of astounding. I worked for many years as an online tutor, and despite the fact that my interface allowed me to have whiteboard and share documents and share screen and all the other things, the one-line chat was the most powerful way to guide what somebody was missing about something or didn't get about an assignment. I type in one line and they can only type in one line. It's a great way to get rid of misconceptions and to get people moving in the right direction. Very effective. One of the great things that you can do with Google Classroom is to take advantage of the fact that it's synced along with all the other G Suite things with your Google Calendar. And so when you make an assignment in Google Classroom, as it turns out, there it is in Google Calendar, which can be really handy in a lot of ways. Let me take you to my Google Calendar, and I've taken off all of the other, things that might be on there, and I've just left my Google Classrooms, and you might be surprised to know these are automatically added to the calendars that you can bring up each of your Google Classrooms that you ever register. And so, and as you look at the calendar, you can see that all of the assignments show up, and if somebody wants to click on an assignment and even get the Google Classroom link right from Calendar, that's easy for them to do. You can even go back to things whose time has gone past and do the same things with them. The other thing is, if you decide to put an event on Calendar, if you want to put something in that your students will see if they check their calendar, that might not be a due date, but it might be something that you want them to do. Remind them that there's a show on that everybody's going to want to watch, or a constellation in the sky, or whatever it is. You can just add it to calendar, and if they're watching it, it'll pop up as a notification. The other thing is, if you make your calendar public and then share the link to your calendar for that class with your parents for that class, they will also be able to see those notifications going up for Google Classroom. And now that is an invaluable way, because that actually gives you a little bit more granularity compared to what parents can extract about their kids' classes directly from their relationship with Google Classroom as a guardian who's been invited, which we're going to talk about next. So anyway, pro tip. Okay, the other thing that you can do is you can use Google Calendar as a way of creating schedules with parents. This isn't probably that surprising. Maybe you use this all the time, but in the Edupocalypse, it's just another tool that we have to make sure that we're staying in touch. As I said before, it's really important to use Google Classroom to connect with families. That's something that sometimes people ignore, but you have your parents, your students' parents, often they're already connected. If they're connected to one of their kids' Google Classrooms, they show up in all of them, which is great. And you have the option of inviting a guardian, or if you want to, you can also add somebody as a teacher, and they don't have to be an actual teacher in the classroom. This is really important with special educators, case managers. Sherry Lewis or Seth or somebody might want to be able to monitor, what's going on with that student. So the thing that you want to be sure of is, as you do add somebody as a teacher or a guardian, if you aren't careful about your notifications, they will get every email about, like, let's say, every time somebody submits something late, that student by name will come up in your shared teacher's email, and that is not something you want according to FERPA and according to a lot of things. So make sure that you turn off the notifications for other teachers in your classroom, because you don't want to have emails about other students going sort of all over this little informal network that you've created in Classroom. Man. So this is an amazing thing that I'd never thought about with Google Classroom, though it was there all along. And I credit Pocketful of Primary again, and we'll show their information at the end as well. But using Google Classroom to differentiate is a fantastic way to go. You create groups based on reading level, special education needs, modifications that have been asked for. You can group kids together that are getting modified assignments. Let me show you what I mean. I've created a Google Classroom using the custom header that was referred to before. I whipped together a little classroom here. As you can see, there's some information that's always still on there, and then there's the information I put in. It puts a bit of a darkening overlay on it, which is why it doesn't look as bright and brilliant as it might, and I do wish I had a better picture of myself to give you. But anyway, let me go to the classwork part and show you what I'm talking about. I have a few students here who are willing educators. Thank you, Allison, Raquel, and Kathy, Joyce for playing along so that I could have some people populating my faux classroom here. But anyway, I'm going to create an assignment, and the assignment is going to be, let's say, cell process reading, and the instructions are read page 1 through 15. So here's the thing, not all of my students are going to be at that reading level. Now, in a second I'll talk about if you have entirely different sources for this, but for right now, let's just say we're going to ask one group to read a little more and one group to read a little less. You see over here that you have all of your students. So I have all my students and they're automatically checked. I'm going to uncheck them, and now they're all blank. And now I don't want to pick on anybody here. I'm just going to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Kathy and Raquel, they are going to be asked to read pages 1 through 15. And I go through all the rest of this and I assign that to them. And that is going to show up in Kathy and Raquel's inbox or Google Classroom assignment stream. But I'm going to create another assignment that is my cell process reading. Can't get away from the typos today. And it's going to have all the same other information, except this one's going to say read pages 1 through 10, or whatever. Or, well, you could attach different questions that they have to answer. You know about how to differentiate assignments. But see, now I go back to my all students list, and I've already given Raquel and Kathy the assignment of reading pages 1 through 15. Allison, we're going to have read a little bit less to make sure that she is able to keep up with the reading as well. Allison, thank you for playing along, and it's all in good humor. And so then I would assign that to Allison, and that's what shows up in her inbox or on her stream in Google Classroom. And so nobody's in that situation where they're like, and you know how this goes, somebody raises their hand, they're like, Mr. Auerbach, how come I read all the way to page 15 when Johnny only had to read to page 10? What's going on? Did I read it wrong? And so it avoids all that sort of stuff, and it avoids any embarrassing issues. Another thing that you can do with differentiating in Google Classroom is to create a class for early finishers. You might have some kids that always finish early, and so you want to have something for them to do. If, like in my classroom, the rule is we're always working while we're here, it's not just get this done and then you can, blah, 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 do nothing. Of course, you invite everybody to it, so everybody also has an invitation to this Google Classroom. And when they get done, they can go to the other Google Classroom if there's still time left, and they can look at other stuff that you think is interesting. You could have readings, or you could have videos, or you could have puzzles. You know how it goes. The kind of things you might present to kids who are looking to enrich or extend their experience of a particular topic. Okay, so we're really getting to the end here. I want to show you a couple other features of Google Classroom that are interesting. Here's one that's just for the mobile version, and this has the ability to, rather than adding documents adding comments in the on the side as you can with Google Docs, in Classroom you annotate them more with a pen and interacting with the actual tablet surface or phone screen. So you can annotate, as you can see, select a pen, select a color, and write whatever you want. You select different colors. You can also choose to enter text, and there's a variety of things. I will say it's a little clunkier than what you can get in the computer version, but at the same time, you can't do this in the computer version. What they're showing right there is doing it in reverse. You ask a student who has it on a mobile device to annotate a document that you've pushed out to them, and that becomes their completed document, and they send that back to you like that. Now, with our one-to-one situation, I don't know if that's something people want to do, but it is something to keep in mind if you poll your students and find that they all have a phone that they could look at the occasional thing on. So that's kind of cool, and again, credit to somebody else here, in this case Shake Up Learning, which is a fantastic group that has a whole bunch of great training resources, not the least of which are its Google Classroom approaches. Another thing that's only available in the mobile version is a student selector. It's a random student picker, and so comparable to maybe you use a random student generator to help pick groups. I actually do sometimes, but anyway, you click on this to pick on a person if that's something that you would want to do. I would not use this, in real time to call on anybody, because that's not really the way that I do it. But there is a whole article about the student selector. Again, this is from Shake Up Learning, and I appreciate all the great stuff that they're putting out there to help us get through the edupocalypse. Something in Classroom that you might like to use are locked quizzes. And this is really only available to controlled Chromebook situations, like we have a managed Chromebook. And what you do is you create a classroom, and as you just saw, you click on Settings, and then you go over to Quizzes, and that gives you the option of clicking Turn on Locked Mode. And when locked mode is turned on, respondents are not allowed to open any other tabs, and if they click out of it, X out of it, and take it up at a different time, that action will be noted in the log of that student's interaction with the Google form. And so anyway, so there you go. That's how to make a locked quiz in Classroom. Some sort of meta stuff, like not just within creating a classroom semester. We may be doing this next semester, folks, or others of you have been doing classroom stuff for a long time now, and you can reuse posts. It's when you go to the Create drop-down. Let me just go to my Google Classroom here. I go to the front page or to the classwork page, and under Create, when I click that, I have all the different things you can put up. But also, I can click on Reuse Post. And then it'll allow me to go to any posts that I've ever made. Let's see, fall 2000 environmental science, and I could put out this energy reading, and here it comes. When I do that, it comes up just like I just freshly created the assignment, and that way I can I can leave it just exactly the way it was. You probably want to remember to change the dates, folks, because you know how that is when a student's like, "This says December on it, but this is March. What are you doing, Mr. Auerbach?" So you want to be careful to do that. Or you can, if you learn something different from the last time you assigned it, and make sure to remember to follow on George Harvey's blog, or something like that. Whatever companion activities that you talked about in class this time that you didn't last time. And so that way you can assign this, and you would pick the class that you want to have it in this time around. I could assign this to my Auerbach Tech class, and they'll get yet another assignment in their inbox that they'll wonder about. There's so much information out there that I can't even begin to tell you how many great things I've seen. I don't want to give any more because it's just too many. I might have to do a second round of these, because I'm finding that not only is Google Classroom a very powerful and really stable piece of software that I've enjoyed using, but the things that you can do with it and in support of it, and in collaboration with it, like Google Groups and just everything are. It's fantastic, and as we go through this situation together, people are coming up with more and more ways to do the distance learning. And so, just really quickly, on Google Plus, there's a Google Classroom community, Google Apps for Education. Even on Twitter and Pinterest, you can get stuff. This is a YouTube video. I believe this is from Pocketful of Primary. I'm sorry that I did not label that correctly. That's Michelle Fa, who does so many great training videos. She has, this is her advanced techniques one, if I'm not mistaken, and she also has a tutorial one, which actually I think is on this next page. This is from Shake Up the Classroom, I think it's called. Great stuff. And yeah, here's Michelle Fa, who also has that super cool classroom header template from Google Slides. And yes, here's the tips and tricks video and her tutorial video, which I guess means the one on the page before. It's a mystery. Just click on it and see what it is. Finally, Google has a whole thing on COVID distance learning suggestions and resources that they have assembled, and they are right in this fight with us, folks, and there's a lot of different things that they suggest, and including tips and tricks and lots of resources. So anyway, folks, thanks a lot for checking in, and keep checking back with the Brattleboro Union High School Technology in Education Committee and see what we've got up our sleeves. Thanks for dropping in.